So what's your favorite part of Halloween? I'm going to tell you about a haunt that I like to go to, per se. Are there any local haunts that you like to go to? Let me know in the comments. Hey, this is Carrie with Canary Quilts, and we are on week 12 of the Midnight Moon of the I always say it wrong. Moda Midnight Moon Quilt Along. There we go. And we've got some really pretty blocks this week. And I honestly did not think I'd like this block when I made it, but I added the light color in and I really like the block. But as I've been doing in the last few videos, I am just going to walk you down a little bit of why I love Halloween, because I do. I love everything about Halloween. I like horror movies, I like the decorations, I like the silliness of it and the scariness of it, but we like to do, as I've told you about when I was a kid, I've told you about when my kids were a kid, but as an adult we like to go to Halloween Horror Nights down in Orlando, and it is a blast. So Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando has kind of cemented it for me here as an adult, that I don't have any kids left at home. But we love to go down there. It's just so immersive in Halloween. It is more on the horror side, but it's just a blast to go down there and just walk around and see all these decorations. Like these pumpkins that are all lit up, and this haunted house that they had sitting there that was just a decoration. There's characters like this pumpkin head. There's characters from movies like from Killer Clowns that are behind me there. And, you know, it just is so immersive. It just makes you you're just walking around and you can get these pictures and you can just have fun in this Halloween atmosphere. There's some more characters, and then there's the houses. Like this one was from the movie Trick or Treat. And their houses are IP houses, which are movies or their original stories. Like they had Beetlejuice. In the background, there's The Haunting of Hill House. And then the Tribute Store, which is a walkthrough, and you can buy your food there. And they have these fun food, like that's Leatherface, cherry pie, a vegan brownie, and next is a chocolate cake that looks like a coffin. It's just so fun to go down there and to stand in line with your friends or your family and just talk about it and have fun and laugh at each other for getting scared. So there you go. Do you do any local haunts? Do you like haunts? Is that too scary for you? We love it because it makes us laugh at each other. We come out of those houses and to see each other get scared and to jump ourselves, and then to come out and we laugh and we talk about it all night. It's just so much fun. But let's get started on our blocks here. This is week 12 and we are down to our last 6 blocks that we're going to be doing. And we have the 4X block, and this is a log cabin block. It's just a different take on a log cabin block. And I wondered why this was called the 4X block, and I figure it out later in the video. Maybe you know already, but I don't know. I kind of have a thing for why are blocks called what they are, and I've tried to do some history on it, but it's kind of hard to find that stuff. But anyway, I'm going to walk you through this one, and then we're going to walk through this one, and we're going to end up with some beautiful blocks. So I don't have any room on my board back here to put all my blocks anymore, so I'm going to be holding them up, and we'll put them up when we are getting ready to put it together. So let's go! Let's get started on our blocks. Here we are on week 12 of our Moda Midnight Moon Quilt Along. As you can see, we're on our last page of blocks, but next week we get another bonus block, so that's going to be fun. This week we have the 4X block and the log cabin block. But anyway, we'll get started. We're going to put together these we're going to start with 4X, and we're going to put together the corners and these interesting hourglass blocks in between. And then it's just a 9 patch that we put together. So let's start with these outside corners. I've got my pieces cut already. Got them labeled per her instructions in the pattern. We are going to start with our squares B and C. B is a background square, and we're going to mark that on the diagonal. So we're going to take our B and our C, and we're going to make half square triangles out of them. We're going to get 2 per block, and we're going to take these 2, put them right sides together, and we're going to sew 1/4 inch on both sides of this line. I use my 1/4 inch foot, and I just run my 1/4 inch right down this line so I get a seam out here. I'm going to do it on both sides. And then we're going to come back and we're going to cut along this line. We'll have 2. We'll make 2 blocks out of this, and then we're going to iron towards dark color, which in my case is the gray. So now we're going to trim down our line. And we're going to iron towards the dark color. We are going to also trim our tails off. And there, we've got these corners right here finished. So now we are going to be doing our hourglass blocks in between. So these are going to be interesting. We're going to take our A, our E, and our F squares, and we are going to cut them on the diagonal, both diagonals, so we will get 4 triangles. We're going to get 4 triangles out of all these fabrics that we've got here, and because our hourglass has 2 of the, in my case, orange colors in it, we've got 2 blocks here. So this will yield 8 triangles. There we go. Okay. Now, let's lay this block out so we know exactly what we're working here with. Oops. Grab 2 of the orange, and I've got more than 2. Then we're going to have a black and a background. That's how we're going to set these blocks up. And we need 4 of these. So let's put these together, right sides together, and let's pin the side we want to sew. Because you could sew this side and that wouldn't be good. Pin the side you're going to sew. So I am just going to lay out my white in the same direction as this. Add my orange. And then since I've clipped the right side here, I'm going to clip the right side on these. So there's my orange blocks. Here's my black and orange block. Let's set these up. And when we come back, we will iron all our pieces, in my case, towards the orange color, which is the one where I have 8 of the same color. So we'll get these sewn. Okay, I chain piece these all together, and now we're going to iron all of these towards the orange. Okay, let's put these blocks together, and we want to do that. Put it together like that. These seams are sewn in the opposite direction because they're ironed in the opposite direction because we iron towards the orange. So we're going to put these together, and we are going to nest those seams right in the middle. And sew along this long edge here. So now we're going to take our blocks and we're going to iron towards the side that has the black. In my case, it's the black, the darkest piece. There's my hourglass blocks, and these are not the correct size. We need to trim these down to the size that we need, which is a 3-inch block. So I'm going to take my ruler and I'm going to line my diagonal line up here on my seam, and I'm going to take my 1.5 inch mark right here in the middle and set that at the middle of the block. That way we're going to be cutting out the middle of this instead of choosing one edge or the other. So I'm going to trim it, turn it, and then at this point we should be able to line up our 3-inch here, our diagonal, and our 1.5 inch mark will be in the middle. And then we'll just trim this side. And there we have our block ready to go. Okay, we now have all our pieces ready to be laid out into our block. So we'll take our D square and we're going to lay that right out here in the middle. And then I'm going to take my hourglasses and I'm going to take that dark patch that's in there and put that towards that middle square. And then our corners are going to have the dark half square triangle pointing towards the outside. And that's our 4 X's block. It is now a 9 patch, and we'll start putting it together by row, and we're going to iron away from our hourglass blocks as we put our rows together. So take your blocks, line them up, pin the side you're going to sew. And remember to iron away from the hourglass block. Okay, I've ironed away from my hourglass block, and we will start to add our 3rd block onto each row, and we'll do it exactly the same way. And here are our rows. So we are going to put our rows together, nesting these seams we just created, and we're going to iron away from this center seam, and our block will be finished. Look at that block. That is so pretty and so fun to put together. Not too hard, as you can see. It looks complicated, but it is not. Ooh, that could have been bad for me, but it wasn't. So that is the 4X block. I'm assuming it's called 4X block because of the hourglass, because there's 4 of them, and they're in the shape of an X. So let's move on to the log cabin block. Okay, our second block in week 12 is the log cabin quilt. This is actually, we're going to turn this into a 4 patch. So we're going to build each of these corners and then put the block together. So you cut your colors, you cut one of each color for each pattern piece in this block, because each corner is going to be different. And then from there, we're just going to build out from the center. So we're going to start with the block and start adding these 2 pieces and then add these 2 pieces. These pieces will be the same material and these pieces will be the same material, but different than these. It doesn't matter how you do it. It's up to you how you put your materials together. So to get started with this block, we're going to take our A piece and our E and our D. So I'm going to put B and C up here for now. So what we want to do is grab an A and grab an E that isn't the same color. And let's see, I did orange and white here, so let's go with gray this time. And we are going to take our E and we're going to put it right sides together on one side of our A piece. And I'm going to do this for all of my A's. So I've got gray and I've got white, so let's go black on this one. So we're going to get these sewn and we are going to iron towards the center patch. So there's my A and E pieces, and like I said, we're going to iron towards the patch, that center patch. And we're now going to take our pieces that we just made and we're going to take the D strip of the same color as the E strip. Just to make sure, let's put our E strip to the left hand side and we're going to put our D strip on the top. And we'll do that with all of them. Take your D strip left hand side and put your, I'm sorry, this is your E strip, this is your D strip. E strip on the left hand side, D strip along the top. So we're going to sew these, but we are going to iron these towards the D strip. Okay, I've got these sections done now, and I want to now add my C strip. And I've laid these out because I just want to make sure that I don't get the same fabric as the previous 2. So I've laid them out to make sure I didn't do that. And we are going to add our C strip, our C strip onto the side that has the short strip and partial long strip right here. So if you put that short strip on your left hand side, you'll put your C strip on the left side. Then we are going to sew these on and then we're going to iron towards the center patch away from this C strip. So take your piece you just sewed and iron away from that strip. There we go. Now we have just one more strip to add, and we're going to take the strip of the same color. So I have my orange down here, and I'm going to take this orange and we're going to lay it across the top here, across these 2 strips. It can fit down here, and if you're not paying attention you could put it down there, but you want it to go across these 2 strips up here. Okay, Okay, so we're going to get these sewn and we are going to iron towards this strip. Okay, iron this strip B, iron towards strip B. At this point your square should be 4 1/4, and that looks good. So let's lay out our block. We're going to put all these center squares towards each other. There we go, there's our block, and because of the way we ironed, these rows will nest with each other when we put our rows together, and then when we put our two halves together, these rows will nest with each other. So that's why we ironed the way we did. So let's get our two blocks put together, nest the seams, and we're going to iron each of these in a separate direction. So this one's going to be ironed this way, this one's going to be ironed this way. Or vice versa, just as long as they're ironed in opposite directions. Okay, if I lay these blocks out with the squares both on the bottom like this, these center patches, and then I iron them both this way, then when I flip this one, it will be the opposite way. Okay, let's put these back up, and now all these seams we have here are all in opposite directions, so we can put all these seams together and nest them. Start with our center seam that we just did. And then do our side seams. Then we're going to iron this towards the bottom or the top, because any way of this can be the top or bottom. So here we go. And there's our large log cabin block. It turned out really cool. I didn't think I would be a fan of the way this block looks. That's a good size. So I really didn't think I'd be a fan of the way this block looks, but I do. I like, in the example block, she didn't put any light or white colors in here. So that's why I did it. I did that. I like that contrast. How did you do your block? Did you do it like they showed you, or did you add like the white in here like I did? So thank you very much for watching this video, watching the and following along with me on this Midnight Moon, Moda Midnight Moon quilt along. It's been a lot of fun. Next week we have a bonus block, and then we only have 2 more blocks, 2 more weeks of blocks, so 4 more blocks, and then we start with all the trimmings. So stay tuned. Subscribe below to get notified when I put out my next Midnight Moon, Moda Midnight Moon quilt along blocks, especially the bonus block because it's free.